The film opens with Jack and Kate, who have been together since college and are seen embracing each other. They are at JFK Airport, and Jack is about to depart for a 12-month internship at Barclays in London. Kate fears that their relationship will end if he boards the plane. However, Jack reassures her that they have a solid plan in place. He tells her that she will attend the best law school in the country and secure an internship. Despite this, she wants to prioritize their love over their plans. Jack kisses her and affirms their love is strong enough to endure before leaving. 13 years later, Jack is seen waking up in a luxurious apartment after spending the night with a woman named Paula. He expresses his desire to see her again that evening. Still, she informs him that it's Christmas Eve and she will visit her parents. Subsequently, Jack gets ready for work and encounters his neighbor, Mrs. Peterson, in the elevator. In the lobby, the doorman, Tony, greets him, and Jack imparts some quick investment advice before departing for work in his Ferrari. Jack holds the position of boss in a Fortune 500 company. During a meeting with other directors, Jack discusses trading options and the approach to institutional customers. He notices that a board member, Alan, seems distracted and asks for his input. Alan admits that he's preoccupied with thoughts of his family, as he had promised to be home for dinner on Christmas Eve. Jack remarks that he may have tunnel vision, but emphasizes the significance of their impending announcement of the largest merger in U.S. corporate history within the next 2 days. When Alan apologizes, Jack insists he should be excited, not apologetic, as this year's Christmas gift will be a 10-figure check. The meeting concludes at 8:30, and Jack receives a message informing him that Kate has been trying to reach him. He explains to his assistant that Kate was his college girlfriend, who was about to marry her 13 years ago. His assistant expresses disbelief at the idea of him being the marrying kind and attempts to call Kate on his behalf. However, Jack stops her, stating that he doesn't want to contact Kate and inadvertently reopens old feelings. Just then, Chairman Peter enters his office, and Jack seeks his advice on handling it if an old girlfriend calls. Peter advises him to hold them like taxes, cut them loose. An hour later, Jack says the company's security officer, Frank, good night. He walks home and, on his way, enters a small store to purchase some eggnog. Shortly after, a man arrives at the store with a winning ticket worth $238. The cashier questions the authenticity of the ticket and refuses to cash it. In response, the man brandishes a gun to intimidate the cashier, but Jack proposes a business deal. He offers to purchase the ticket for $200, enabling the man to cash it for $238 elsewhere and make a quick $38. The man agrees to the deal, and they both exit the store. Jack advises the man against using firearms and mentions the availability of programs to assist individuals like him. The enigmatic man cryptically tells Jack that he has brought this upon himself this time before departing. Upon arriving home, Jack goes straight to bed. But as he wakes up the following day, something is wrong. He sees a woman embracing him, who he soon realizes is Kate. Suddenly, 2 children enter the room, hopping onto the bed. Jack appears astonished. And as the little girl addresses him as a dad, Jack jumps out of bed. He becomes agitated and rushes downstairs to leave. At the door, he encounters Kate's parents. His car is far from sight. He goes back inside and inquires about his Ferrari. Kate's parents claim they were unaware of his ownership of a Ferrari and offer their Cadillac instead. Jack drives swiftly to New York City, where he is relieved to see Tony outside his apartment building. Tony informs him he can't enter as he is not a resident, and Jack becomes perplexed and frustrated. Moments later, Mrs. Peterson shows up, and Jack tells her that Tony is behaving oddly. Mrs. Peterson wonders who he is. Jack becomes incensed, thinking they are both playing some prank. When they threaten to call the police, Jack becomes apprehensive and returns to his car to drive to his office. Upon arriving, Frank stops him, stating that he cannot enter. Upset, Jack tells Frank that he is the company's president and points to a sign displaying the names of the board. To his surprise, Alan's name is listed in his place. As he exits onto the street, he sees a mysterious man driving his Ferrari, which angers Jack. The man instructs Jack to get into the car, hands him a bag to breathe in, and implies that people have vomited from this experience. Jack demands an explanation, but the man tells him that this is a glimpse of the life that could have been, and that he won't get his real life back until he figures things out. Jack is bewildered, but the man refuses to provide further details. He gives Jack a bell, maneuvers him out of the car, and then drives away, leaving Jack puzzled. Jack decides to drive back and speak with Kate. However, he needs help, finds the house in the neighborhood, and asks the man where Kate lives. The man's wife yells as she finds Jack inside their home. Upon seeing pictures of them together, Jack discovers that the man is his friend, Arnie. They converse, and Jack learns that Kate is his wife during their discussion. They return to Jack's supposed home, with Arnie telling him how fortunate and prosperous he is to have such a wonderful wife and a large 4-bedroom home. Upon reaching his supposed house, he meets Kate, who embraces him but soon becomes angry and questions where he is. He explains that he went to New York City, where he lives, and informs her that he doesn't have a family. Kate expresses her frustration with his strange excuses. Jack starts ringing the bell he received from the mysterious man, hoping it will somehow help him. Instead, his daughter calls for him to come and take it. Kate blames him for missing their children's Christmas present opening. Jack apologizes, and Kate informs him that he needs to prepare for the Thompson party, an event he has anticipated all year. Jack becomes disappointed upon finding inexpensive clothes in the wardrobe. Later, they arrive at the party, and Evelyn Thompson welcomes them. Jack converses with some individuals who are all his friends. After this, Evelyn approaches him and starts flirting with him. When they arrive home, Kate instructs him to walk their dog, which he reluctantly agrees. The following day, Jack wakes up to a crying baby. He knocks on the bathroom door to ask Kate what to do. Since she doesn't respond, he opens the door. Kate tells him it's his day to prepare the children for school and daycare. Jack needs to be more knowledgeable about changing diapers. Annie helps him as she sees him struggling. She then mentions that he can't be her real dad, to which Jack agrees. She asks where her real dad is. Jack responds that he doesn't know but is sure her dad will return soon. She picks up a chair, stands on it, and checks his face, saying that the aliens in the mothership made him look like her dad. She asks if he can make chocolate milk, which Jack thinks he can do. After that, she welcomes him to Earth. Later, Annie shows him where to drop off her brother Josh for daycare, and then Jack drops her off at school. Before leaving, Jack asks where he works. Annie says he sells tires at Big Ed's. He arrives at Big Ed's, owned by his father-in-law Ed, and walks into the shop. He asks an employee where his office is. The confused employee points at it. Jack enters his office and sees photos on the wall, figuring out that Jack, whose life he is living, never boarded the plane to London. That night, Jack watched TV as the news suddenly reported on the largest merger in U.S. corporate history being announced. Jack gets very upset, yelling at the TV that it's his deal, and he is the real architect. Suddenly, Kate happily enters the room and turns the TV off, saying the kids are asleep. She jumps up in bed and starts kissing Jack. Jack interrupts her and tells her how beautiful she has become. She likes his comments and goes to put on something nice for him. But when she returns, Jack pretends to have fallen asleep. The next day when they are shopping, Jack tries on a suit, which Kate says he looks fantastic in. Jack says he will buy it. But as Kate sees the $2,400 price tag, she says he's out of his mind. Jack, however, insists he will purchase it, and the two start bickering and quickly get frustrated. After a while, Jack gives up and decides against buying it. Jack apologizes to Kate in the car on their way home. They begin conversing, and eventually, Jack realizes that their life together can be summarized as they had an unexpected baby. He rescued Ed from a heart attack, subsequently started working for Ed, and then they relocated to the house. The next day, Jack is spotted bowling with his friends. He should excel at it, but disappoints his friends by failing miserably. Jack returns home to find that Kate has taken one of the chocolate cakes he had been saving. They playfully start chasing each other and kissing on the staircase. Jack fails to say the words that always make Kate happy, so she gets upset and leaves him. He watches an old tape of one of Kate's birthday parties that night. In it, he sees himself singing a song for her as a surprise with the help of his friends, which she adores. The following morning, Jack wakes up and goes to give Josh his baby bottle. As he returns, Kate presents him with an anniversary gift. She wants him to open his gift immediately, and Jack is thrilled to see she bought a suit for him. However, as Kate gets excited to receive her gift, and Jack doesn't give her one, it becomes apparent that Jack has forgotten their anniversary. She is saddened, but Jack promises to make it right. While preparing chocolate milk for Annie later, Annie tells him she should have warned him since her dad always gets something special for her mom on their anniversary. Jack asks if he ever took Kate to the city, and Annie says it's a great idea. Next, we see Jack and Kate ordering gourmet food in a fancy restaurant in New York. Jack offers her a dance, but she thinks it's meant for something other than dancing there. Jack, however, doesn't care. The pianist is pleased, and people around them envy Kate as they dance. Later, Jack talks to Kate about feeling like he's living someone else's life. He tells her he used to walk around with the Wall Street Journal and feel confident like he had everything figured out, but now he feels like he has nothing figured out. Kate admits she feels similarly. She asks Jack what he is sure about, and he answers that he is confident there's no place he would rather be than there with her. That night, they check into a luxury hotel, and Jack expresses how much he still loves her after all these years. Jack seems to enjoy being with Annie and Josh in the following days. Kate passionately kisses him goodbye as he goes to work, and he begins to enjoy selling tires. One day, Peter visits the shop with a flat tire, and he and Jack start conversing. Jack explains in detail how he believed the big merger could have been valued at $130 billion instead of the $122 billion it did, making them much more money. Peter is impressed, hands Jack the address where he wants the car delivered, and then tells Jack he expects him to give it to him himself. The following morning, Jack arrives in a fancy car and a suit at the office. He meets Peter and Alan in his former office, and they converse. After a while, Jack stands up and acknowledges that his $2 million revenue tire business is nothing compared to their multi-billion-dollar Fortune 500 company. However, he expresses his belief that people are the same everywhere and emphasizes his understanding of people. Jack highlights personal qualities and traits about Alan and Peter to such an extent that Peter is convinced they should hire Jack for his skill set. Peter instructs Alan to show Jack around, and once the two are alone, Alan begins making subtle threats, cautioning Jack not to meddle in their affairs. Jack laughs, noting that Alan is behaving differently and assertively, expressing his approval. Afterwards, he walks away, leaving Alan bewildered. The scene shifts to Jack taking Kate to a luxurious apartment, informing her that it's beneficial for an executive position he's been offered. While she appreciates the gesture, she mentions that they relocated from the city for the sake of their children. Jack suggests they can live the life they've always desired, but Kate points out that she would need a new job, and their children would have to leave their friends behind to live there. Jack proposes the idea of commuting, but Kate expresses concerns about his inability to spend more time with the kids due to the lengthy commute in heavy traffic. Upon returning home, Jack discovers his old flight ticket to London. After seeing him, Kate says she is afraid that if he gets on that plane, she won't see him again. However, to their great surprise, Jack returns the very next day. Kate then confesses her love for him and expresses her willingness to relocate their entire family to New York City if necessary, as she believes their love is more important than their location. She leaves, and Jack contemplates her words. The following day, Kate finds Jack playing with Annie in the snow. Annie tells Jack she believes her dad will return and embraces him. That evening, Jack visits a nearby store and encounters the mysterious man working as the cashier. The man remarks that it seems Jack has genuinely figured things out. Jack angrily informs the man that he won't allow him to send him back, stating that he can't enter and leave people's lives and disrupt things. The man explains that a glimpse is impermanent by definition. Jack pays for his items and mentions having kids waiting at home. Upon returning home, he checks on Josh and then visits Annie, who briefly wakes up and asks if it's morning. Jack reassures her that it's not morning and advises her to go back to sleep, whispering that he's returning to the mothership. He enters the bedroom and speaks with Kate, asking her to promise that she will remember him as he is at that moment, as he fears feeling as if it never happened. She promises to him and then tells Jack to go to bed, but Jack indicates he has one last thing to do. He takes their dog for a walk and allows the dog to run freely for a while. Back home, he tries to stay awake to savor every last moment, but eventually succumbs to sleep. Jack wakes up in his luxurious apartment. As he's about to leave, he sees Paul at the door, wishing him a happy holiday. Jack says it can't be the holiday season and leaves her. He drives to the house he saw in the glimpse and knocks on the door. An unfamiliar man opens the door, and Jack asks if Kate lives there, to which the man answers no. On his way back, his colleague calls him, saying he's 30 minutes late for a meeting, and Jack says he will be there in 20 minutes. In his office, Alan asks Jack if he's all right since he has no suit on, but then quickly begins explaining that there's a crisis and the merger deal is almost falling through. Seemingly having lost the joy in his life, Jack says he will talk with the parties to save the merger. He will do that because he says that is his real life. In his limousine, he calls someone who gives him Kate's address. Jack arrives at the address and enters the place, seeing people moving things out. He sees Kate, who explains she is moving to Paris where her big law firm has an office. Jack asks if she's married, to which she answers no. She then hands him a box with his old stuff, saying that was why she contacted him. Kate's assistant says she booked a flight for her at 7 o'clock, which Jack overhears, after which Kate starts focusing on other stuff, and Jack leaves. In his limousine, Jack tells his chauffeur to drive him home instead of to the business meeting. He goes through his old stuff while pondering and suddenly sees photos of him and Kate together. He looks at his watch and hastily leaves, driving fast to the airport and looks for Kate. He sees her and calls out her name. When she also sees him, Jack starts explaining how they have a house in Jersey, have two lovely kids, and love each other immensely. He tells her it might have all been a dream, but that nothing has felt more accurate, and if she gets on that plane, it will disappear forever. He begs her not to leave for Paris, at least not tonight, and asks her to talk over a cup of coffee, which she accepts. Kate agrees not to leave him, and after that, the two talk and have a great time at the airport cafe.